Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction. The talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have R.L. Hutchins. We'll be discussing his fantastic book, Calamities and Changes of Jelli Roll's Court, where infidelity and truth hang in the balance. Now, that will be available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble when it comes out shortly, but just so you guys are aware, it's not quite ready for publication just yet. It's in the final stages, so be on the lookout for it because it'll be out very, very shortly. But as of right now, it's not quite available, but make sure you continue to check back in at Amazon and Barnes & Noble to purchase the book once it's available. And I will say, Rick was brought to People of Distinction today by some of the best movers in the business. Parchment Global Publishing. If you have a book that you'd like moved, move it through Parchment. You can find them at parchmentglobalpublishing.com. And guys, listen, I am so excited to have Rick here on the line with us because his book we're discussing, Calamities and Changes of Jelli Roll's Court. Listen, it's a fictional narrative, okay? But it's a fictional narrative that really has an underlying message that is so universal. Every single one of us can relate. Whether you consider yourself a religious person or not, or whether you believe in the term sins, right? And of course, that generally has a religious connotation. Guys, listen, there's no denying the fact that there's a lot of temptation in the world. And I love the fact that Rick put this book together and he comprised this book because really, when you read it and when you learn about it, you see that the main character himself is going through a situation. But it's something, whether or not you can relate to that particular situation the main character finds himself in, you can relate to the circumstances, right? You can relate to the underlying just pressures of society on a whole, right? I love it because really with this book, it's a social commentary of the environment and the temptations that a lot of times we become victim to. Okay. Now, in this particular narrative, we're going to be discussing infidelity. It says it right there in the subtitle. So we know what this character deals with and the temptation that he becomes prey to. But guys, how often do we find ourselves just on our everyday, day-to-day life? We constantly battle with the temptations that come into our lives, right? And we constantly become victim. We fall prey to our own temptations. And in this narrative that Rick has comprised for us, his character perseveres, right? He finds a way to push through. And so often in life, we find ways to persevere as well. It's never easy. It always takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. But at the end of the day, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It is possible. And I absolutely love the fact that we have this book here on our network and we're able to discuss it with Rick because listen, he's the expert on the matter. He put the book together. He's going to be able to articulate all the nuances in his book much better than I ever could. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's jump right in. Let's bring him here on the line with us. Rick, first and foremost, thank you so much for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm good. I'm very good. I'm blessed. I'm here. By God's mercy, I'm here.
There you go. Fantastic. Well, Rick, listen, let's jump right in. Let's not hold off any longer. Calamities and Changes of Jelli Roll's Court, where infidelity and truth hang in the balance. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, the book is basically talks about what's going on in today's society as being an individual that's been through a whole lot, and there's a lot of like I say, a lot of sin, a lot of infidelity, which a lot of times infidelity it hangs over a lot of marriages. And that temptation is it's sort of a bad boy, as we say before. But and it's something that that we keep. A lot of us guys and not just guys, also girls as well, can see themselves in the situation as these characters were. It just no means that we could prolong it any longer as being sin nature, which we are accustomed to from the beginning of time. We just basically it's just something that needs to be stated, something that needs to be out there and for everybody to see it. So, but it's just one of those things.
Rick, thank you so much for sharing. What I love so much about this book is, listen, we know that in our society, and really, I mean, it's a story as old as time itself, right? Infidelity is something that is very profound. It's very prevalent in today's society. I mean, even if you look in the Bible, I mean, it goes back again, as old as time, where a lot of people question.
It goes back. If I may say, if you go back to one particular, and everybody know as in the book of Kings, the book of Samuel, you had David. David was one, King David, and look at his situation, how he was caught up into it, with Bathsheba, and how things is. And so when I look at that. Yeah, it was way before we were here, and how he had take that situation, and let me put it this way: how God took that situation and turned it around. Okay, because when he did that, he lost a son, but he also gained a son. He gained a son. He married a woman, and he just he turned just turned that situation around. Well, with this here, at times, sin can be so bad that you can't turn it around. It either get worse, it just, it's how the character looks, how the character will put itself. If he doesn't show no remorse about what he did or how he's doing it, then hey. When you got that much sin, then there's death.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fantastic. Next question I'd really love to get into, Rick, is let's talk about the title, Calamities and Changes of Jelli Roll's Court. Now, again, the subtitle to it is very straightforward. Okay, we know what it entails. Now, that first part is really where I want to focus on. Now, why did you choose that title to be the representation for your book?
Well, we all, let me put it this way, Benji, we all go through calamities. We have our own personal calamities. With this, it's just basically that it started out fine, and then all of a sudden, you get that storm. You know what I mean? I mean, you can have a sunny day, and then hours later, then there's that storm.
Yes, sir.
Well, with calamities, like I said again, we all go through it. We have our own calamities, a lot that we don't go through, and we don't put ourselves through. And it just, it just stands out because, I know people like calamities. Well, he's been through a lot, and like I said, he's trying to make things right by doing things right with him, his wife, his family, or whatever. But you're gonna go through some trials and tribulations, as
Absolutely.
I will put it, through anything. Through any day of the week, you're gonna go through trials and tribulations, because that's what God had told us. He already told us that the road is not gonna be easy, but also, we go through with our jobs, at home, even with friends, even with family. We're always going to go through a thing, and that will be our calamity. And but we just basically try to stay focused on the good things our calamities could turn around. And sometime again, like I said, if sin's bad, there's death, and so it's something you can't come out of because, you just have to have that guidance, someone to talk to that can maybe, basically turn your situation around. And that's, and that's one thing that we don't do a lot. We don't talk to other people about our own calamities, be a sickness, and now we talk about infirmities, but that's a calamity, that we have to go through.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Guys, again, here on the line with R.L. Hutchins, we're discussing his book, Calamities and Changes of Jelli Roll's Court, where infidelity and truth hang in the balance. Will be available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble once it's published, which it will be published very, very shortly. Rick, next concept that I'd love to get into is let's talk about inspiration. Right now, we know what the book entails. We know really the universal relatability. Now, talk to us, Rick. Let our listening audience know what inspired you to write this particular narrative.
Like I said before, I grew up in the projects. Growing up in the projects, you see a lot of the situation. And the thing is, I let me get it this way. I have a good memory. I have a good memory of what went on when I was a little boy. And I don't know why, but I do. And I can also remember back to the days when I had my first girlfriend. Okay. What inspired me was a buddy of mine. He still does. He still lives in the project. He always had told me about this particular woman, that woman, this woman, and I talked to him and told him, man, you need to stop. You need to change your life, and stop doing this, and then now, he married one of the girls, and that right there, it kind of inspired me because of what he did, and how he did things and stuff. He was more of a playboy, and he falls into temptation. I mean, quick, very quick, and and that right there would actually motivate me, and so what I did was when they motivated me, I said, okay, yeah, this is him, so I'm gonna put him in here. So, but I had to change the name of the story. So that would actually what inspired me by just seeing it, and so by me seeing it, I wrote on it.
Second part to that question, Rick, is staying on the concept of inspiration. Now, we know what inspired you to write this particular narrative, but as we discussed, guys, this is not his only book. Right now, he's written another book already published called The Promised Child. Now, that's an autobiographical book that he's written. Now, question following off of that, again, staying with the concept of inspiration, this is going to be your second book that you've written, second book that is going to be published. Now, Rick, what inspired you to embark upon a creative journey of this magnitude and become a writer? I mean, was this something you were always interested? Were you writing when you were very young? Were there particular writers that inspired you? What inspired you to become a writer?
Okay, I'm going to throw out some few names there that a lot of people will probably recognize. My foremost and biggest was, I'd say, Paul Dunbar. I always read his books. He was more of a poet than just a writer, but he had some stuff that I really liked that kind of inspired me to write. Absolutely. And then the other ones were one of my favorites, Stephen King, Maya Angelou, James Patterson, and and a few others. I can't remember, but can't remember their names. But yeah, I come upon come upon their book also. So those right there really what inspired me to be a writer, and then not just that, um, it was something that my mom had told me at one point in time. If you're gonna do something, do it with your heart. Put your heart into it,
Yes, sir.
and that's exactly what I have done. And I sit down and write books. And not just because just to be writing it, but it expresses a message that I'm trying to bring about. I'm trying to put out something that inspired me, something that captivates me, and and I just again just take it and put it in words. You know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, listen, we're very glad that you did. We're looking forward to the publication of it. Rick, curiosity for myself, what would you say was a highlight for you in writing this book? Or if not a highlight, maybe something that surprised you that you weren't expecting prior to embarking upon this journey?
Well, I never thought I would do this. I would never thought that I would be a writer.
Mm-hmm.
I love reading. And one book I do particularly like to read, Benji, and I put it out there, and that is my Bible. My Bible is the biggest inspiration to me than ever, because the thing is, God put that word there for us to read for an understanding. And then on top of that, he gave us understanding, but he also gave us an understanding heart.
Yes, sir.
And with that, I took that and I said, okay, well, a lot of them guys that's in there are writers. And that's one, too, also, that figured, well, I would like to write a story. Benji, I would love to write this story. I sat down and that's what I did. And it it surprised me, and I never thought I'd go this far, of being a writer, because when I kind of did the first book, I wrote it and didn't realize that it was gonna, be a lot of work to it. And the publishing company told me, and that shocked me. And I'm like, oh wow, what do I need to do with this, or how do I go about doing that? And so the lady at the publishing company at the time told me, okay, we can do this and we can do that, and let's get your book out there. Let's get your book out there where it can be known, be heard, and on top of that, so it can be self-sound, as she put it, self-sound. So that's what surprised me.
Fantastic. Well, listen, congratulations, Rick, on not only completing your first publication, but continuing to stay with your dreams, continuing to push forward, because as you stated, and really as we know, guys, whatever you're passionate about, I mean, it's an age-old saying now by this point, nothing worth having is ever easy to come by, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it. And the fact that yeah, of course. The fact that you knew this about yourself. I mean, this was something that you always wanted to do. This was a dream of yours, an aspiration of yours that you hoped at one day to complete, and you didn't give up on it. You continue to push forward and deal with the adversity that comes with it and be able to persevere through it. So congratulations on that. We're very much glad that you did, and looking forward to, again, this second publication. Absolutely. Now, last question as we finalize this wonderful interview, Rick, what are you hoping to see people do with this book?
Well, to take the book, read it, get an understanding, to what the book is trying to say, what the book is trying to say, and a lot of things, a lot of people can learn from it too, as well as the first book. Some of them say they learn from that, especially their kids, and they just read it and have a better understanding of what I'm, basically trying to say, and because a lot of people will see it and like, oh well, hey, You know, hey, this is me. This is a mirror image. A mirror image of me. And just take it and read it, and have a better understanding of what they are reading.
Yes, sir. Guys, there you have it. I mean, what more can be said? Of course, as we stated before, a fictional narrative, right? None of this is true, but the concept, the journey that the main character goes through, I promise you, if you haven't gone through it yourself, you probably know somebody who has. It's a universal concept, something that we can all relate to. So not only is it fictional for entertainment's sake, but there's also an educational aspect to it as well, where we can grow and we can learn. And that, in and of itself, makes this a book that should be on everybody's shelf. So you know what you got to do. Head on over to Amazon. Head on over to Barnes & Noble. It's not there just yet, but it will be available very, very soon. It's called Calamities and Changes of Jelli Roll's Court, where infidelity and truth hang in the balance, by R.L. Hutchins. And while you're at it, a book that is available is called The Promised Child. That's an autobiography by Rick that he published before. It is available for purchase now. You surely will not be disappointed. Head on over, pick up copies of each of those once they're available. Rick, this has been an absolute pleasure, an education on my part, as I'm sure it was for everybody else's. Thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
Amen. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.